Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Welcome back, Money Queens, to the show where we talk all things power, prosperity, and of course, the color pink. Very few women will take the leap, take the risk to leave a corporate career, 25 years in a career, and then even fewer are going to take that next step and mentor more women, to empower them, to let them lean into where they are passionate about, to align with their purpose, to feel more fulfilled in their day-to-day life, and while embracing financial security, stability, and prosperity, we'll even say too. And that's what tonight's episode is all about. Going through that journey, overcoming the fears, the setbacks, the unknowns, stepping into the unknown time and time again, and then building out a community, a robust, thriving community for more women, which is exactly what the show is about. So this now author of She Nailed It, this is what we do. So I'm very excited to bring to you Tresa Todd. She's the founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, the largest and fastest growing community of its kind. At age 50, she chose faith over fear, leaving a 25-year career to build a movement empowering thousands of women to thrive in real estate and also in faith. So let's bring Tresa Todd. Hello, Tresa. How are you doing tonight?
Hey there. I was doing fantastic. So excited and honored to be here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of She Nailed It, our newest book at Pink Fix Productions. What was it like going through your story and getting it into print?
You know, it's so fun. It's, of course, there's always this timelines you've got to meet and all of that, but you made it so simple. So it was super easy. But it's always exciting to just go through all the thoughts again when you're writing and remember everything that it took to get to where you are. So it's always a fun journey.
In your chapter, Faith Over Fear, big theme in your life. We're going to go into that journey. But first, we want to take a look at the book. In life, we all face valleys, moments of pain, challenge, and struggle. But it's what we do in those moments that defines us. She Nailed It. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory brings together powerful women who turned adversity into strength and strength into purpose. Led by Danette Galvis with chapters from inspiring voices including Terry DeGrande, Erica Butler, Corey Beth Lepowski, Tresa Todd, Catherine Sorensen, Katika Estevez, Christina Good, Denise Sandkamp, Megan McDermott, Kristen Williams, and Jessica Weaver. These stories will inspire you to believe in your own comeback, reminding us all that victory is always possible. She Nailed It. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory. Available now on Amazon. One book, countless stories of hope. Get your copy today. There she is. We have Tresa Todd with us. Her chapter is Faith Over Fear. And in your chapter, Tresa, you talk about a phone call that changed everything. Can you take us back to that moment? Who were you on the phone with and what did this ignite?
Yeah. So it was my youngest son who was in his mid-20s. And he had graduated college, and he and his 2 brothers, my other sons, had become real estate investors. And so this was after 3 years of them becoming wildly successful. And that whole last year, they had tried to talk me in to leaving my 25-year career and moving to Dallas, Texas to be a real estate investor. They said, Mom, come, we'll teach you everything you need to know. But I'll tell you, I mean, I was 50 years old. I was not thinking of changing, careers at 50 years old. I was scared to death. But that night, he just really showed me. He had been into my house a few months prior, and he had looked over all my finances, my 401k, my savings, mortgage, all the things. And he said, Mom, you will live about 7 years in retirement, and then you're going to be broke and living,
Oh,
yeah. And I think, Jessica, I had had my head in the sand. I felt like I had been doing everything right. I didn't have any debt other than my home and my car, but I didn't have any credit card debt. I lived within my means. And so I just thought everything was going to work out okay. I just thought I'm putting money back in my 401k and somehow it's all going to work out. That was such an eye-opening conversation that I was like, wow, if I don't change something, this is going to be it. My golden years were not going to be too golden.
And you work so hard. Yeah. Raising kids, building your career, as you said, thinking you're doing everything right. And yet there's like this wall, this invisible wall you can't get past.
Yes.
Wow. So on this phone call, after that, you took a hard look at your life and what happened next?
Well, I did it. I have to just back up a little bit
Okay.
because along with my career it was in the medical field, and I just have to say the last couple of years that I was working I'd made the most amount of money, and Jessica, that was $65,000 a year. That's what I was making. And that's what I had raised my kids on. I remember at one time making $29,000 and then finally working myself up to $40,000 a year and then finally hitting that 60,000 mark. And that was the life that I knew. But on the other side of that, I also was very involved in ministry. I always taught at women's conferences and retreats and Bible studies and that kind of thing. And that at that particular time, I was teaching a Bible study on the book of Joshua. And that is where he is taking Joshua is taking the children of Israel in the wilderness into the promised land. And as I was teaching that, it was a 12-week course. And as I taught it, I don't know if anybody that was in the class got anything out of it. It might have been strictly for me, but it came alive. And especially Joshua 1:9, where it says, "Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for I will be with you wherever you go." And for some reason, it came alive to me. And I felt like God himself was saying, "Tresa, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous?" And so I can so remember making this promise to God that for the rest of my life, I was going to be strong and courageous, whatever that meant. If there was a decision to be made, whatever was the most courageous decision, that was going to be the one that I made. And so when that conversation came that you talk about, it was at 9:00 at night. And I will never forget when, Kelton again, just saying, "Mom, you've got to come do this." And he was saying, "I want you to leave. I want you to leave everything behind, sell your house, quit your job." I was going to leave my friends, my ministry and everything and move to Dallas. I remember hanging up that phone call and sitting there thinking, "God, is this what you meant? There's no way when you were telling me to be courageous that you literally wanted me to leave my entire life behind and go start something brand new." But I'd made that promise. And so I did. I put my house on the market. I gave my 2 weeks notice. And I moved to Dallas, Texas to learn how to invest in single family real estate. And my 3 sons began to mentor me and teach me everything.
Wow. You mentioned in your chapter, when God talks, you listen. And that Bible verse that you had just quoted, there stood out very strong way. For I'll be with you wherever you go, right? We can still be scared, but there's also a calm.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Well, I would so I knew without a shadow of doubt I was supposed to do it. I mean, I knew. And so there's that calm, but yet there is so much fear. When you're at 50, you're going to have to learn a whole new industry. And then the whole fact of leaving everything behind, my people behind, everything that I knew, everything I was comfortable with. So there was an excitement and an overwhelming fear at the same time. And if it hadn't been for that verse, I don't know that I would have done it.
Mm-hmm. You talk about, every woman can, where you question it. Did I make the right decision? And you are knocking on door after door. You are in the trenches, starting from scratch, learning, probably feel like you're drinking from a hot fire hose, learning so much. Take us back into that moment of knocking on doors questioning everything. What got you, Teresa, to that next door? Being like, so many people would have just been like, this isn't for me. I'm going to go back to that security, what I am now.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly thought about it so many times. And, the question I ask myself all the time is, why did I choose knocking on doors? I was knocking on doors of pre-foreclosure. There's lots of way to find off-market deals, but I don't know why. That was the most aggressive thing I could do, I think. And I was a little bit feeling desperate. I don't have a paycheck coming in. I need to do this as fast and quick as I can. So I just grabbed a homes that were facing foreclosure, and I would go knock on those doors. I would pick a zip code, and I knocked on 57 doors before I got my first deal.
That's a lot of doors.
That's a lot of
Rejection.
people that said no or slammed the door in my face or didn't open the door in the first place or whatever. And I can remember around 27 doors thinking, oh my gosh, I am obviously not very good at this. My sons may have this talent, but I don't think I have this gift. But I kept going because I had already shut all the doors. And so I kept going. And then at 37 doors, I remember at some point being humiliated, to be honest, and thinking, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. What have I done? I am failing at this miserably, and I'm going to have to go beg for my job back. My house was already, now closing and so I just kept going. And then I hit 47 doors. And again, just feeling every negative feeling that you could think, but I had no choice but keep going. And finally on that 57th door, I was able to help this family out. They were losing their house to foreclosure. I was able to put cash in their pocket. It wasn't my cash. That's the beautiful thing, is we always use other people's money. And not only was I able to help them in a horrible situation that they were in, I made $20,000 on that first deal. And I know that's not a life-changing number, but that was 1/3 of my annual salary pretty much on one deal. And it gave me the hope that I needed. And then I began to understand, okay, this is just a numbers game. It only took me about 14 days to knock on 57 doors. So I was like, okay, if I just get a deal every 14 days that makes me $20,000, that's a whole lot more money than I was making. And so that was my mindset that kept me going and kept me going. And I ended up making, more money in that first 3 to 4 months that I had in my 401k after 25 years.
Teresa.
It was life-changing. I couldn't believe it.
Wow. So what was that evolution from knocking on doors? What was that next step in your career as you're building up to this queendom, we'll call it?
I love that.
Sure.
Well, so now I'm getting my confidence. I'm like, okay, I'm realizing, what I'm learning, what to say and what not to say. I'm getting more confident. More deals are coming in. I was really wise with my money so that I could, I was living on very little money because you don't know when that next deal is going to come. But that kept me so hungry and it kept me so excited. And so as I began to, now I was only wholesaling deals those first few months. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to flip a few houses. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to have some rentals, and I would have some long-term and some Airbnbs. And so I started growing this portfolio and growing in my confidence. And at the same time that's going on, I am attending all of these networking events, because to be a successful investor, it's not a lone ranger kind of a sport. You need a network of people, of private money lenders, contractors, and realtors, and title companies. And so I was going to all of these real estate investing networking groups, and I would be in a room of 100 and maybe 7 women and the rest were men. And really wanted women. I'm like, where are all the women? I want women to know, especially women like myself, that were making under $100,000 a year, that were just trying to live and trying to make it and living paycheck to paycheck. I wanted average women like myself to know, listen, there's another way to live, because I'm always under the idea that to be a real estate investor, you had to be wealthy. You already had to have money.
Yeah, sure.
And so I realized, oh my gosh, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And so again, my sons, I have to give them credit because I was always complaining and whining. Where are all the women? And so they said, well, why don't you start something for women? And I thought, and I had been in women's ministry. I was used to doing all of that. And I said, well, I will someday. I might do that someday. And again, they just put me on the spot. And they're like, Mom, what are you waiting on? I said, well, for one, more experience myself. And they said, we'll help you. You just do it and we'll help you. And so Jessica, with 14 months experience, I started the Women's Real Estate Investors Network. I don't know what I was thinking. That had to be the craziest thing in the world. I didn't even know. I remember setting up a date for the first meeting. That was, I'll never forget it, August the 28th on a Thursday night at 6:30. And these were live meetings. And I didn't even know if women wanted to learn how to invest in real estate. I didn't know if it would show up. Then I was scared to death if they did. What if they asked me a question and I don't know the answer? All of those fears and all of those things. But 40 women, exactly 40 women walked into that meeting the very first night. And that to me was the same as 4,000. It was just, I was like, okay, so women do want to learn. And I just taught them what I knew. And they were interested and they kept coming back. And now, we are the largest women's real estate investors network in the entire nation. Over 250,000 women have come through a masterclass. And so it's just unbelievable what can happen when I think back of just making that one little leap of faith and standing on Joshua 1:9.
One little leap. I would say multiple leaps.
Yeah.
And we were just talking with another guest on that imposter syndrome. As you're talking about new career, you are new to it. You're having success and you wanting to bring more women in and unite women so that they feel community, a sisterhood, not alone anymore. How did you overcome? I'm sure you had imposter syndrome. How did you overcome?
Oh my goodness. I was, the whole time I'm teaching what I do know, all I'm thinking about is what I don't know. And, and they're asking, and if they ask the question, thankfully, my sons were there and they had plenty of experience. And I'm so, so grateful. But here's the thing that I've learned is they didn't care if there was something I didn't know the answer to. I was still giving them so much hope and so much, all you have to know is one little piece. That's all I knew when I started. I knew one little piece. I knew how to go knock on a door and have that one conversation, and you learn as you go. And so that would be my advice to anyone listening. Listen, don't wait. You don't have to be an expert to get started. Get started, help as many people as you can along the way, and you will grow your expertise as you go.
No, amen. I'm putting up here a QR code where you can engage with Tresa Todd on our YouTube viewing of this episode. So comment how you want to get involved in real estate, or if you already are involved in real estate. And when you do, you get entered to chance to win some of our Pink Fix merch. Let's take a look at it. Welcome to the Pink Fix Shop, where rebels, trailblazers, and legacy builders find their voice in every sip, stitch, and page. From best-selling teas to manifesting mugs, every item is designed to spark conversation and celebrate your story. Start building your legacy in style, only at pinkfixproductions.com. All right, we're back with Tresa Todd. Go ahead and leave her a comment, a question. She will engage with you and get back to you. I want to switch gears. We're talking about your journey, that one leap of faith to now building out this real estate queendom, we're calling it. We are dubbing it. I've gone through the training as well, and I love how you break it down. Very visual for women, easy to get involved with. Can you give us a little glimpse of what that training looks like, Tresa?
Yes, it all starts with coming through our masterclass. It's a 5-day masterclass, and it's about 2 hours an evening. And we teach 5 different strategies. We teach how to start wholesaling, without not using any of your own money. And that's a beautiful thing. That's that very first, that's what I did for the first few months. But we also teach the ins and outs of flipping properties without you doing the work yourself. Again, using other people's money. And that was a thing. I had no idea that there were people out there that wanted to lend me money so that I could buy real estate. And that was mind blowing to me. And so once I learned that and learned how to do that, that's one of the things that we teach in our masterclass is not only all the ins and outs of flipping. And when I say that, I don't mean you out there flipping. I mean using other people's money, not only to purchase the house and for the repairs, but to pay the contractors so that they actually do the job, so that you could be flipping several houses at a time. So we teach that. We teach how to purchase rentals using other people's money, long-term rentals. And we're also teaching about short-term rentals, which is my favorite strategy because I call that now and later money. That is the cash flow. It's the money that I make every single month that I can, pay a house payment with, pay a car payment, go shopping, take a vacation with. But it's also building that long-term wealth or retirement or, but it's also legacy money. These are properties that I can pass down to my kids and grandkids. And so that is amazing. So we're teaching all of the different strategies, all about not only borrowing other people's money, but how you can be the lender. And if you are listening and you maybe love your job, you don't want to become a real estate investor, that you've got money sitting over in a 401k or a retirement, and it's making you 4%, 5% possibly, you can lend that money to investors and make up to 18% on your money. And those are usually short-term loans that you're loaning it out for, 6 months and then getting paid back. And then you can lend it out again and again and again. And so it's just, it's also exciting. And the average woman has no idea that they could do this.
No, we weren't taught about money growing up. For the most part, we weren't taught about it. So talking about any kind of savvy money strategies, building wealth, that wasn't brought to us.
Absolutely not.
And then we feel very intimidated talking about it with others, which while we have a sisterhood with wealth, I love how you have a sisterhood around wealth and real estate so that we are in spaces where we don't feel judged. We can ask the dumb questions.
That's right.
Get educated. And it sounds like in your community, women are making these connections, finding deals, collaborating together as well. Can you talk to us about how that works?
Yes, that's the beauty of the entire community is we have women who need to borrow money. They're coming in and we break it up into active investors and passive investors. Active investors are someone who's maybe going out and doing the wholesaling. They're finding these deals. They're getting them under contract. And then they can either choose to wholesale that property or flip that property. And then we've got our passive investors. And these are ladies who would want to lend that money so that they can get that crazy ROI on their money. Or maybe they're just wanting to acquire these properties as rentals. So they would be what we call an end buyer. And so the active investors are the ones getting it under contract, and then they are either selling it for a fee to the end buyer, or they're lending their money to the to this person who maybe wants to flip. Or so it's just this beautiful. I always say it's a one-stop shop. Everything that you need for investing is there. We're nationwide. We've got students in all 50 states, which is just insane. Alaska, Hawaii. I mean, yeah. And what we've learned is women in California and Colorado, some of those higher end states are doing just as good as, some of, our Texas gals. And so it just works in all 50 states. And that's what's beautiful.
A proven process. So that is beautiful, Tresa. Well, we have one more question for you if you're ready for it.
Ready.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
Wow, that's a great question. Is that your goal?
This is where imposter syndrome hits every single one of our guests. Like, I don't feel myself that way, but we're not building wealth by the millions and empowering these women to ask for more. Instead of settling for it, and they've obviously been curious about real estate if they're getting involved in your world, but empowering them to get educated and take that intentional next step.
Yeah. You know what? The question is, what makes you a woman behind the millions? And I think it is by taking a leap of faith. Because for me, all of those years, I felt like I was being responsible by making sure that I just had a regular paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. That felt like the responsible thing to do, playing it safe. and not taking that risk and not taking that leap of faith. But that is what changed everything for me. That's what's changed everything for my students, who once they make that leap of faith, not that they have to quit their jobs. The beautiful thing is they can keep that job, and just do this on the side until they're making enough to quit the job. But that wasn't my sons weren't giving me that choice at the time. So yeah, I think, girl, take a leap of faith. Whatever it is, whatever God is sending your way, whatever the desire of your heart is, jump into this. Know that He is with you, and it could literally not only change your life, but you don't know who else's life you might change.
Or 250,000 women's lives.
Yeah.
And their families. There's such a ripple effect of it when you do take that leap.
Yeah.
It's stepping into the unknown.
Yeah.
And the growth that you have when you step into the unknown. She said, what would you tell the younger version of you?
Oh, that you can do it. That you can do it. Because you have no idea the capacity that we hold. We would have never, ever, if somebody would have said you're eventually going to have the Lord, I would have freaked out. I wouldn't have even, I don't even think I would have wanted that, to be honest. I would have said, oh no, thank you. Go ahead and give that to somebody.
Too much responsibility.
Businesswoman. I wasn't a business-minded woman. Had no desire to be a businesswoman. And yet it all just came in steps. And you take one step and then the next door opens and you take another step. And before you know it, you're doing the thing that and I never saw it. I never saw it coming. That is the absolute truth. And again, I think the average woman has no idea what they're capable of, and what God's calling them to is so much bigger. We were truly made for more.
We were made for more. Women are limitless.
That's right.
Beautiful way to end. What an amazing conversation with you, Tresa Todd. Thank you so much for being on here and for taking that leap of faith, and also getting your story published and out there. And she nailed it. You haven't yet, go ahead, grab She Nailed It. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, Tresa. And all of you watching, listening to Women Behind the Millions, we thank you, Money Queens, for being such true supporters of ours. And we will see you next week when we interview another She Nailed It author. Cannot wait. Have a good night, ladies. Hey, Money Queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.